Welcome to the new party. I'm Nora Christine.
I'm Gray Mars.
And I'm D White.
And today on the new party, we're going to get into some reactions and recap of the Candace Owens Don Lemon interview that occurred last week. Candace Owens did her reaction video to it, and I think she instantly realized at the start of the interview that she regretted coming on there. When she was invited on the show, she explains that it was a friendly invite. They said, let's have a friendly conversation. And I watched the clip in the interview last week, and it was definitely far from friendly. The first clip that we're going to get into is about January 6th. And so here Don Lemon explains his position and this response.
Someone saying, I thought I should have won, and there were, I had all these wins that were, that were not at my back. Then someone saying, you know what, the election was stolen, and that these people are heroes who actually desecrated the Capitol and beat up police officers, and someone ended up.
Old Network even debunks the points that you just made. Obviously, the person that died that day was Ashley Babbitt. The only person who died on that day.
My old network does not debunk that.
Yeah, they absolutely. I covered it on my show. Even
no,
CNN.
I work there. They do
okay.
not. They do not.
So that narrative that was quickly pushed out by CNN was then subsequently debunked. So the only person that died that day was Ashley Babbitt, and Ashley Babbitt was a Trump supporter. So only a Trump supporter died on that day. Regarding the insurrection narrative, there are questions that still have not been answered that seem implausible to me. I happened to be on that day in DC, 9 months pregnant, and it's just stunning to me that that whole summer DC burned and nobody cared, and then suddenly people are talking about an insurrection and nobody is asking the common sense question of why the FBI, while they can lock up grandmas for having walked into the Capitol, some of these charges are heinous, absolutely heinous. You see these people on camera just for simply walking in at the beckoning of security guards who allowed them in, were put into prison for a very long time. So I'll ask you the question: do you think it's a legitimate stance, or that it's legitimate that the FBI can't figure out who it was that dropped off pipe bombs the night before?
Oof. All right. D, I'll let you respond first.
Yeah, I think that they're gonna drive this January 6th narrative into the ground, and they're gonna stop talking about it for the remaining history. I don't think she should have went on there because it definitely wasn't friendly. Nothing about it was friendly. They argued back and forth the whole time. Every time she said something dumb, was like, nope, that's not true. You're a liar. You're a liar. But even though she has facts and she has proof, she's been doing this for a while. But I'm glad Candace stood her ground and didn't back down. She's great at what she does. What do you think, Mr. Gray?
She didn't mention the officers that lost their life from the injuries that they suffered.
She did. They did it. Nobody died on January 6th. That's what she was saying.
Except the one girl.
The one,
Ashley,
right?
Ashley, yeah.
But there's an officer that died from his injuries, correct?
Yes. Later on.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I think he was saying, was that I don't think he died that day. I think he died several days later. So I think she was trying to be specific on, like, okay, this lady died on this day, and she was trying to not talk about the officer. I mean, her and Don Lemon are on two totally different sides of the spectrum. So I was hoping that they could have some healthy discourse, but it seems to be that they were going to argue and they were going to just continuously say what they believe the facts are from their perspective. What about you, Nora?
Well, I think Don Lemon has a struggling podcast. You look up Candace Owens' videos. She has millions and hundreds of thousands of views. You look on his, he barely has a couple 100,000 on every episode. So I think he was definitely in it to get clickbait. It was not friendly at all. I think Candace went in there with the intentions of it being friendly, and it turned left fast when you watch the interview. So the next video, she talks on using the F word and her issue with words being banned and canceled. And here they go into talking
and
about
a bundle of sticks. And then they said you can no longer say this word that has a real meaning, right? A bundle of sticks, because some pervert took that and threw it as an epithet towards gay people. I think that's actually, that's a wrong way of thinking, because then what you're doing is you're allowing perverts to dictate society. So I don't like the death of the English language because people are getting offended. So that's like, I could pick any word. I could say, plant. And from now on, every time I see a gay guy, I'm gonna be like, he's a total plant. And then eventually they say you can't say plant anymore. It's like, no. This is a real word that has meaning. Attack the person who's perverting the word, but you don't suddenly disappear a word and you say you can no longer say it, or you can no longer read these Virginia Woolf novels because the word has been perverted. I don't think that's.
I mean, it's conservatives. That's who's trying to do it. I don't think that you should be banning books. But I do know, Candace, that language evolves over time. And when people say that word to me, they're not calling me a cigarette. They're not calling
obviously,
me
that's the point. It has a context. So if you want to punish that person because they're saying that offensively, that, if you feel that this person, but it's not fair to then say to everybody else who's not using that word that this word has now been banned. I just think that's ridiculous. Yeah. That's my point. I don't think you can suddenly say go backwards and delete words that had real meaning because someone has perverted it, because then it never stops. It just becomes constantly having to update the language for people's feelings. I don't think that we should be doing that.
So you would never call me a fat to my face, right?
Well, why would I just randomly call you a fat?
I'm just meaning,
have you ever seen the Louis C.K. skit on? Have you ever seen the Louis C.K. skit on fat? Still not entirely clear on what point he was trying to make there, or why he kept trying to goad me into saying that I would call him the F word. He then later on asks me if I'm a homophobe. He asks me if I have any gay friends. It just got weird.
Gray, I'll let you respond first.
Well, I don't even know what I was just watching. But I mean, I've seen some gay dude I work with. He used the F word, and he told the guy in there, I can say it because I'm gay. So I think it's kind of like in the same situation where it's like the N-word, because the Limit had no problem saying it, and then it's just like, oh well, who can use the N-word? This and that, because now you got Hispanics using it and things like that. So I feel like people pick and choose and play favoritism with words on who can use it and who can do this, who can say this, and whether it's whatever community where there's offensive, they only let that community control who can say what. What do you think, D. White?
Yeah, I think Candace is completely correct, man. With any slur, we could pick any word. I could start seeing Spanish people and call them a car. Your car. Look at that car over there. And then eventually, if it takes off, now we can't say the word car anymore. And she's right, man. You can't just let people take away words that literally have meanings, man. It's a slippery slope that will never stop. And I think that prove at the end, but except for saying the word over and over on their podcast. It was ridiculous conversation. I don't even know what he was looking for to get out of that.
He was looking for a fight because he has a struggling show.
Yeah.
She should not have went on that. I agree with her going on Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan has millions of followers. I think it was a good move when she went on Piers Morgan. But going on this show to me was like, why are you fighting with someone that's not better than you? It's like, it's a waste of time. Like, the next clip we're going to get into, they got into it about interracial marriage, where they talk about their views on it and comparing it to gay marriage.
Verses in the same scriptures that are used to call same-sex marriage sinful are used to call interracial marriage sinful as well. And so there are people who would say that you are in a sinful marriage.
Can you tell me which verse it is that would make people say?
The thing is that it's actually not there. and that people twist the Bible verses. That's my whole point. But thank you for
It's not
proving
there.
that, because
It's not there. It doesn't exist.
say that.
I just made
and
it up.
It's actually, you're going to say Leviticus or whatever.
No, it's
That's
not there.
actually
He's
what
just
Leviticus
making it
says.
up
But go on. I don't want to
get
get
her
into
on
the
his
specifics
side.
about the Bible, but that's not what the Bible says. It's just people, Owens, that you are in a sinful marriage because you are in an interracial marriage. And I say that as someone who is in an interracial marriage, so I am doubly sinful.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody make a biblical argument against people being married that are black and white. So that's why I said, can you just tell me what verse that was? Sodomy is obviously a sin, but I've never heard a biblical argument. I'm happy to learn. I honestly, I'm happy to learn.
Sodomy is not just for gay sex, right? You know that, right? Sodomy is.
Yeah, it's a sin always, by the way.
Yeah, it's a sin between, it can be a sin between heterosexuals as well.
Yes, that's correct.
So, okay, but you've never heard that interracial marriage was sinful?
I've never heard somebody make a biblical argument for interracial. I've never, and that's why I'm saying if you could present that to me, and if maybe you're familiar with what verse that was.
It's not a biblical argument. It's also a religious argument.
This guy's a clown,
as
man.
well, more so than anything, that you're in a sinful marriage and that black and white people.
Big time. So basically, it's like comparing apples to oranges, which is, no offense, something that the left likes to do. They like to bring people to their side, like, well, it's compared to this and it's compared to this, so you got to be on our side with this. No, one has nothing to do with the other. At the end of the day, interracial marriage and gay marriage are not the same. I'm not going to really give an opinion on either. I think that it's so horrible that he's trying to compare both, though, when they're totally different. Gray, would you like to respond first?
I was going to answer a question. The verse that they're talking about is Sodom and Gomorrah, where
right.
I don't know what the person's name is, but they go to the town, and the people ask them to assault to sleep with his daughters, and then if they don't, they're going to assault them, and then the angel saves them. So the Bible is always used and misinterpreted in a lot of ways. I don't want to delve into that in this channel. But him comparing it to interracial marriage and gay marriage, I think the other comparisons that you compare it to is like what the law says. I don't know exactly when they passed that interracial people can be married, but I know Obama was
the 1950s.
The 1950s, but right. I know Obama was passed the gay marriage. So I mean, in the sense of the law, yes, both of those things were illegal at one point. And that's the only thing that I can say would make sense as far as the comparison.
Well, I would like to be accurate. Sodom and Gomorrah were two cities destroyed by God for their wickedness. And there are two arguments here for why they were destroyed. So I just want to be accurate. The first argument that people like to say, and why they say that gay marriage is wrong, is because they say that they were having a lot of gay sex in that town at the time. However, the other argument is God sent in his angels, and the angels were raped. So just to be accurate, that's what the story of Sodom and Gomorrah is about.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to find some kind of common ground just to get her on his side and say, okay, well, look, you agree with me on this. And I'm glad she stood her ground, because I'm no Bible scholar. I don't pretend to be, but I've never heard anywhere in the Bible where mixing races was against what was against God or was a sin. I've never heard anyone say that, and the guy was he's just a clown, man. He's a clown looking for views, looking for a fight. Candace is popular right now, and he just wanted her on the show to argue or get a gotcha moment, and I'm glad that he didn't get that.
For sure.
Gray?
No, I definitely think that they both are trying to
build
they
up their
probably
fan
came
base
together behind the snes and said, okay, look, I got fired from CNN. You got fired from what's Bishop
Daily Wire.
Daily Wire. Let's come together, and we're gonna get so many views. This is that. That's probably. I'm pretty sure they both thought that they was gonna get a big following outside of this, and said, we're going to talk about this and that. I do feel like he was trying to goad her into attacking. And I think Candace Owens has evolved a lot more and doesn't say as much as controversial statements as she used to. So he just didn't get the show that he was expecting, because she didn't react the way he expected her to.
And the last clip, I think, was the gotcha moment that I think he was really trying to get. And I mean, let's just watch and see what appalling thing he said to Candace Owens. I personally think it was appalling, and I agree with her with what he asked her. It's almost like, are you trying to get her?
I have gay people in my family, so yeah.
I can't hear it.
Yeah, Nora, you're lagging like
my family right now, so I'm a little. I've got 3 kids under 3.
You don't have gay friends?
Well, I have gay people in my family, so yeah, that's the extent of my friendships with gay people.
Are you homophobic? No, I'm seriously.
You're such an absurd.
I thought you would say, of course, I have gay friends.
You're just such an absurd human being. First off, the person that you're just an absurd human being. Are you homophobic? Oh my God. I was just like, what does homophobia actually mean? Can you give me a definition of homophobia? If I was homophobic, would I be doing like this show? Do you think I'm like scared? Like I'm like, oh my God, look, there's a gay man. I'm so scared.
No, not at all.
Phobia is like to have
question.
a phobia, a fear of, like, you know, you think I fear like 2 gay men that are walking down the street holding hands, like, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so scared. I don't fear anything but God.
Are you homophobic? Who asked that? I mean,
I've been asked that
Gray,
before.
would you like to go first?
No, let D White go ahead, D White.
Yeah. People, when you don't agree with them or you don't agree with their lifestyle, that's what they like to throw up at you. They like to throw up, "Oh, are you homophobic?" As I've had someone ask me that before. We were having a discussion about something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but gay marriage came up, and I told them that I just didn't really agree with it. Which I'm a grown man. I can have my own opinion. I didn't say that I want anything bad to happen to anybody. I just said that I personally don't agree with it. And she's like, "Are you homophobic?" And I was like, "No, I'm not homophobic. I'm not scared of gay people." And I told her the same thing. A phobia is you're scared of. Nothing about gay people scares me at all. And they just love to hit you with some kind of ism, racism, homophobia, sexism, something. They just want to label you with something so they can just try to tar and feather your name, man. This is ridiculous. And I'm glad she made him look like the idiot that he is. What do you think, Mr. Gray?
I think Candace has just made like controversial statements, but I do think he was trying to goad her to say something horrible and put her in a compromising position. And I think that was his whole narrative with that, and like that was why he lost his job. I think it was with Vivek Ramaswamy where he said something to him that was completely off color, and so they felt like he had to lose his job, and then CNN and Tucker Carlson agreed that, well, CNN and Fox agreed, you get rid of Tucker Carlson, we'll get rid of Don Lemon. So I do think that it's just like that shouldn't be a question asked to people. Like, to me, I just don't pay attention to it. I mean, I'm a Democrat, but I mean, I don't know. I just don't pay attention to it. What about you, Norm?
I think it's an absurd thing to say. I think she could have gotten canceled over this. I think that he's looking for the gotcha moment, so he had to do one last thing because that was the end of the interview. Are you homophobic? Because he didn't get her on any of the conspiracy stuff that they went back and forth on. So that was the last thing he had to try to get her on. But let us know what you think in the comments. Do you think that this was a good interview for Candace Owens to do? Do you think that she's homophobic? And do you think that that was okay that Don Lemon said that? Anything closing out to say, Gray or D?
Yeah, just make sure you like, share, and subscribe, man. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. We're almost there. We need you guys' help.
For sure. And always vote.
Always vote. Hey,